Assalamu alaikum, guys. So normally, as most of you will know, we usually shoot the introduction for Freshly Grounded after we have shot the episode itself, because we like to give a preview in the intro as to what was discussed in the episode, who it was discussed with, and kind of give a timeline of the discussions that took place. This time I've chosen to record the intro before shooting the actual episode, which is a rare thing. But the reason I've done so is because I imagine that this episode is going to be a very emotionally powerful episode, which means that perhaps by the end of it, I may not have this kind of upbeat level of energy to film the intro, and I want to do it justice, mainly because of the nature of what's going to be discussed, I imagine. This episode is with Sunny Araf. Sunny is a amazing individual. I've met him. I can probably count on one hand how many times I've met him, but every time I have, he has the most amazing stories to tell. But the story that kind of hits you the most is that of himself and his daughter. Sunny's daughter, Khadija, passed away at a very, very young age. And we're going to talk about how that kind of the story and the journey of what took place. But if you go to Sunny's Instagram, you see so many beautiful pictures of himself having fun with his daughter and their family bond together. And it was only, I believe, when I had met him last, I think it was about a year and a half ago that his daughter passed away. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant her Jannah and grant him and his family ease. And Sunny has been very vocal about his journey, experiencing that as a father, experiencing that as a family man, and going on then after that to just full force with charity work. Sonny's a businessman himself, so he runs a security company, which we'll discuss as well. But he, since the passing of his daughter, has just gone, headfirst into so much charity work, and I want to find out about that as well. But Sunny literally just sent me a voice note now. He's on his way in, and he said, I imagine today is going to be such an emotional episode because I've never really spoken about the story anywhere. All I really do about it is I write about it, and even when I write about it, I'm crying as I'm writing, and so I imagine it'll be a heavy episode, and that's why I want to shoot the intro first, because I imagine it's going to take us through an emotional journey. Anyway, this is episode 137 with Sunny Araf. I'm very, very intrigued to hear what he has to say. I'm intrigued to hear about his journey, his story, how he was able to turn such news that would break any man and break anyone, any parent, any brother, any sister, and how he was able to turn that part of his story and accept it. Continue having such strong faith in Allah, and using that to power his energies into charity work and into helping others around the world who have gone through similar things to him. So without any further ado, this is episode 137 of Freshly Grounded with Sunny Araf.
And welcome to Freshly Grounded, the brand new podcast by best friends Faisal and Sam.
Huh?
I said welcome to Freshly Grounded,
After that bit.
the brand new podcast
And after that bit?
by best friends Faisal and Sam.
Really?
Thank you so much for coming down.
It's my pleasure, bro. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah, so we met. I kind of mentioned I already done the intro for this episode.
Okay.
And I mentioned that we've probably only met a handful of times.
Yeah, that's right.
Maybe 2 or 3.
Probably 3.
Yeah, and the last one was at Iman channel.
Yes.
Remember in Ramadan?
Yeah.
And we were talking, and you were kind of giving a bit of inspiration to the boys, because there was a lot of young boys there that day. I think Muntada Aid were there doing kind of an appeal, and so they brought like a bunch of young brothers who are in university, and they're kind of at the peak of like just starting their lives and their careers. And you kind of came in. You were there because you were talking about your experiences working in charity, and then it kind of very naturally after Salah turned into like a motivational lesson and like dad advice from you to the young, and everybody was glued, bro. Like these are like 21 year old guys who everybody's trying to get their attention right now, like, as in on a macro scale. The whole world is trying to get the attention of people like them and say, fix up or focus on what you're going on in life, and be more mature, and this is what you should be doing, this is what you should be doing. And naturally, when you're 20, 21, 19, you don't want to listen to anyone. And you, in that quick conversation, they had never met you before that day, you managed to get through to them instantly. How?
I think, subhanAllah, it was experience. I mean, like, I think I remember one of them guys, I don't want to say kids because it makes me sound really old, but one of the guys I travelled with, I went to Egypt, so he's like an ambassador for Untitled, and we went to the Little Hearts Project and they travelled together. But I think, because you were talking to them too about marriage, right?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
Like I do with my long experience in marriage.
Yeah. Alhamdulillah. Look, it's good. Look, the reality is that I think any opportunity that you get to deliver a bit of positiveness in that sense, you've got to take it on. And I was just, I kind of just spoke to him from experience. I mean, I'm only 35 years old, so I'm not like really old. I just want to get that on record. Right? So so I've just turned 35, subhanallah, and the reality is what I wanted to do is I remember when I was a teenager, right? I didn't have very much role models, Faisal. The people that should have been a role model in my life weren't, for whatever reason, right? So I had to find my own role models, and I really struggled. There was like certain people in my family that I looked up to, and I couldn't relate to them. We were like in different worlds. So I soon realized that we need to have more role models, but people that people can actually relate to, not those untouchables like celebrities, for example. They're on a different level, and we can't relate to them. So, alhamdulillah, I tried to do my bit, and they started following me on Instagram.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the kids, a few of them afterwards. So, alhamdulillah, I get really cheesed off, Faisal, where people have, like Muslims, right, have amazing platforms, right? They have like hundreds of thousands of followers, but they don't, in my opinion, they don't use it to benefit people. They use it to benefit themselves. That's fine, whatever they're doing, but they don't use it to benefit people.
Right.
I put an Instagram post up, bro. I'm gonna get like 20, 30 likes or whatever, right? Certain people put Instagram posts out. They're gonna get hundreds, if not thousands, of likes. So if they can use their social media platforms to get a positive, to deliver a positive message, then why are they not doing that?
Yeah.
It just frustrates me. It's a personal thing.
I think that also comes with experience and age, though, doesn't it? Because you start to realize what's important in life, and that helping people is only gonna benefit you in the long run anyway. Not in a selfish way, but it does, doesn't it? Like helping people, and if not in this life, then at least in the next.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's I always say, it's like an amazing feeling. If you can, like, the feeling of giving to somebody else, the feeling of helping somebody, and knowing that you've made a difference. You can't explain it. You can't I can't compare it to anything else, but it's an amazing feeling. And I want everyone to experience that. I want everyone to experience that, seeing the smile on the faces of children, for example, when you've just helped them out, when you give them a gift. Or the smile on the face of a widow, for example, when she knows that you've just handed her a food parcel or some money, for example, and that's gonna like look after her and her children, and the prayers, the du'as that come out of it is. I can't understand Arabic, bro, and I think I'd be just, but I just know, you just know, right? I mean, certain things I can understand, right? But you just know when they are making du'a for you, it's just, and you think that du'a is going right to the top, man, and and that's it. And so there is a bit of a selfish element of helping others. We have to be honest, because ultimately we want to, inshallah make sure that our akhirah is sorted. But at the same time, there's a very a dunyavi, worldly perspective attached to it too. So it's getting a balance of both.
Well, I'm interested to talk about your charity ventures, because you're one of the guys on social media that I know of that does probably like some of the most without ever affiliating yourself with only one project. I mean, I know you affiliate yourself maybe with one project at a time perhaps, but generally you work on such a vast amount of projects. But before we do talk about your charity side, I want to talk about why you're able to do so much charity work and how you're able to have the time to do so. I'm really intrigued by your business life and your businesses and how you and how you kind of progressed in that, because I know that was why you were here today. You were here today because you went to a security expo.
Yeah, the International Security Expo. And I was actually really fortunate because it was the International Security Expo and there was also a disaster recovery, something to do with charity expo.
Oh, wow.
And one of my friends and partners from Lebanon, he came over too and he was there. So it was really good that I got to kill like 3 birds with one stone today, which was good.
Are you going back to Birmingham today?
I am, inshallah. As it stands now, I'm going back to Birmingham, but that could change later on if it gets too late, and then I have to get permission off my wife, and then I might just stay.
Yeah,
I just stay over in a hotel and then just drive back in the morning. But inshallah, I'd like to go back.
Do you know what? Actually, where our studio is, you're actually quite lucky because it's very close to the M4, M40. M40 is go straight to Birmingham.
Yeah, look. Dude, I put it in my sat nav, right? And it takes
you like me.
I don't like, when people, I'm so bad. Like when I speak to a client, right, they'll say to me, so I get really confused with like up or down. This is going to make me sound so like stupid, right? But I'm going to say it anyway. So like I'll be speaking to a customer and I'll be saying, like they're from London, right? And I live in Birmingham. And I'll say, yeah, I'll come like up to you or down to you, right? Is it up?
I don't know because I don't understand. There's some people say up, some people say down. I'm fine with whatever.
Yeah, I'm whatever. So I'm saying I come up to you, right? And then my staff in the office will be like, it's down.
I hate when people say that.
Yeah, and then I'm like, look, I don't. And then,
yeah, you're like, I'm not talking geographically. I'm just saying I'll come up to you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll come up to you, and so they're always correcting me, and then I get really confused with like north, south, east, west kind of thing.
Yeah, you're right.
So I look, I'm an ex-police officer, right?
Right.
And when I first joined the police force, I didn't have a driving license. So there was me and my partner Dave, right? And back in them times, which is like 2005, I used to, we had like, Atlas, are they called Atlases? A to Zs.
Yeah, A to Z.
So there's no sat navs, there's no tom-toms. A to Z, and so we get a 999 call. Someone's like getting killed or whatever. Jump in the car, and so David jump in the driver's seat. I'm the passenger, and he'd say, "Get the A to Z out," and then he'd say like, find the road. And I am so bad at using the A to Z. So I'd be like, I didn't even know what I was doing, and I was like, trying to find the road on the map, and like he'd be driving, and he'd snatch the A to Z. He's like, you know what? I'll do it. I was so bad. And I think to myself, I mean, like, hopefully no one died because of like my delayed tactics, right? But it's just really bad. I'm really bad with maps. I'm really bad with A to Zs. Anyone that's listening that knows me will so get this, right? And I'm just so thankful to Allah for sat-navs and tom-toms.
Yeah. I
don't know how like people used to get around before them.
Well, do you know what? Waze has changed the game because I used to, when I was at uni, I remember having to buy a tom-tom from Curry's PC World. I don't even know if they sell them anymore.
Yeah. I don't know.
Because now everything's on the phone. And so now do you use a sat nav still?
I use.
You got your in-car one.
Yeah, I got the in-car one. But then even that, it depends if you got an Audi. I think the Audi ones are really terrible. I've got a Mercedes one. It's okay, but you can't beat Google Maps. Like,
there's an app called Waze. Do you use that?
See, we used Waze in Dubai recently, right? Yeah. And it's all right.
Waze is owned by Google Maps.
I didn't know that.
I believe so. I'm gonna have to fact check that, but I'm pretty sure they are. And so it's the same map. So, but Waze is amazing because as people find issues on the road, they update the map. So it's real time updates by users, other road users.
Okay.
So that's where they know. That's why you can see that there's an accident like 1 mile ahead and there's an accident literally there, and once it stops someone else will remove that, and then when there's police someone will say there's police here, and then when the police go someone will remove that, and because there's so many like hundreds of thousands of people using
Waze.
WAZE, so it's constantly, so it updates the best timing. So even though I know I only really go to like my home, my office, maybe like a family member's house, so I know my way around them places, but I still put Waze in because it will tell me if there's an accident or if there's a roadblock.
I don't even know that. Like even like like where I live, right?
Yeah.
I even like if you ask me, and people always do it. Oh yeah, do you live like? I hate it when people say this, right? Oh, do you live by such and such a road? And I'm like,
roads is too specific,
bro. Yeah. I'm like, listen, I don't know. I just go from home to work and back, and that's it. And it really surprises me, like how like one of my managers, he is like he'll say, I'll mention an area, and he'll be like, yeah, that's off blah blah road, and that's and I'm like. Man, so I always get cussed for that.
So when you talk about work, so work is you own a security business.
Yeah, so I own ISA Support Services, which is a security facilities management business. So we're a people's business. So we provide security officers, we provide receptionists, we provide cleaners, And occasionally we provide like extra staff to like, so a lot of our clients, for example, have like mail rooms and whatever, so they need like additional staff, so we provide staff to them. And do you want to know the history?
Well, how did you get into it?
So, like I mentioned earlier on, I'm an ex-police officer. Okay, so let me tell you this. Let me go back. I went to college, and I did college, and I was really into student politics. I was the NUS president at my college, and I was like the first Muslim, like Pakistani president at this predominantly white college. So I was really proud of that, and I really got into student politics. So I was into student politics from a local and a national level. So I decided that I wanted to become a politician. Right? I don't know why, and so I did my A levels, and I got accepted at Aberystwyth University to do international politics, and I was like, this is the university.
Is
for
that in
me.
Wales?
Yeah, it's in Wales,
Yeah.
but it's like a really nice. It's got like.
Yeah, Aberystwyth. I'm
Aberystwyth.
from Cardiff. Bro. I went to Cardiff Uni.
Are you really?
Yeah, I went to Cardiff Uni.
Are you
I'm not from Cardiff.
Are you Welsh?
No, I'm not Welsh, but I went to Cardiff Uni. I love Wales, man. Wales is my joint. I love Wales.
Bro, you know my dad, right? He's got an obsession with Wales. Can I tell you this little story? It's quite funny, actually.
Yeah, go ahead.
So my surname is Araf.
yeah.
Do you know what that means in Welsh?
No.
It's all over the roads, bro. It's slow.
Oh.
So every time we go to Wales, so as soon as I remember the first time we went to Wales with Dad, and we drove into Wales, it said Araf on the floor, and my dad was like, "Oh look, it's our name on the roads."
I thought you were going to say that your dad named your last name based on the fact that it says slow on the roads.
No, so
I was like, he's
slow.
obsessed with Wales.
My dad is obsessed with Wales, and the thing is, I keep trying to explain to him. I said, Dad, it's not a cool thing. Like, stop telling everyone, right? Because it means that we're the slow family. And Dad's like really proud of the fact that it's Araf, and like, so my dad loves Wales.
Wales is amazing. Wales is amazing.
And the people are really nice too.
Both the best people.
Yeah, really friendly.
Yeah.
I'd like to, inshallah, buy my dad like a holiday flat in Wales.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, because that's one of my it's on my bucket list. Inshallah.
Oh, that's nice.
So yeah, so I got accepted to go to Aberystwyth University, and at the time, things weren't too good at home. My dad did he his business wasn't like doing too well, so like he didn't have like a business, but he was like a self-employed guy trying to just make ends meet, and things weren't good. So I had to make a decision that do I go to university, become a burden on my parents, and not be there to support them in their times of need, or do I stay at home? And I chose to stay at home. I didn't go to university. It was the most difficult decision for me because all my friends were off to university. It was something that I always wanted to do, and I said, "Khalas, it's fine." So I didn't go to university, and I just started working, different jobs. I did like sales, marketing. I did door-to-doors. I was knocking on doors in the rain. That's what really gave me that resilience, and it really built. Because when you work in an area, when you knock on 100 doors and every single person tells you to get lost and they're not interested, that really builds up something inside you. So it can either make you go depressed, or it can actually say, you know what, it's okay, we're going to get through this. So that stint that I did, knocking on doors and trying to sell people Granton cards, it was the most difficult experience of my life, because imagine trying to convince somebody at that point to part with cash from on their doorstep. I mean, who does that? Nobody parts with cash on their doorstep. So you have to be a really good salesperson to do that. And while I was doing all this, I applied to the West Midlands Police to become a police officer. And I worked at Burger King. I was flipping burgers. I worked in a restaurant. I was a waiter for such a long time. And it took me 3 years to get into the West Midlands Police Force. And I did it. I eventually got in, and I became a police officer. And that was, it was great. I did it for 2 years, but it just wasn't me.
You were a police constable?
Yeah, I was
Okay.
I was PC Plod. I was PC Araf, but yeah, PC Araf, yeah.
How long did you say? 2 years?
I did 2 years,
Okay.
yeah. And it's funny actually, because I was with the chief constable yesterday.
I studied criminology, so I'm very intrigued by the police. Yeah.
Yeah, look, like amazing job. I used to love it. Every day was different. I was on response, so we were the guys that were responding to 999 calls. Okay. And a lot of the things changed at the time. But it wasn't for me. My brother-in-law was like, he was working for a security company, and we started talking, and I said, I'm not really happy with the police. He said, these guys are making lots of money, because he was a manager and he got promoted. And then I left the police and we started a security company. Did that for 4 years, and then me and my brother-in-law, you'll probably get this, but alhamdulillah, it seems like you've got a really good relationship with your brother. But like when you work with family, it's intense, because it can make you or break you, you know.
Yeah.
So look, me and my brother-in-law, alhamdulillah, we built this business up, and then we parted companies after like 4 years. And then I thought, oh, subhanallah, I didn't have any money. You know, what do I do? And then I thought, I'm going to go into security because that's all I know. So we started ISA, and we had an understanding, me and him, that I wouldn't approach any of our existing customers. I wouldn't approach any of the staff. So I had to literally start from scratch. And I did, and that was ISA was formed. And alhamdulillah, we're like 8 years into it now, and we're doing good, bro. You know, so when we talk about being able to have so when we talk about being able to have the freedom and the that's what I want to do, because look, the reality is in business you can't just chase money. If it's just about becoming rich and making lots of money, then there's lots of ways to do that. We know that, the right way and the wrong way. But if you want a lifestyle and you want I always say to people, don't chase the money, chase the freedom. Because of course, look, with freedom comes the money, but ultimately you want to be able to do the things that I can do now. And I'm not there. I'm not there completely, but I deliberately built a bigger team around me.
Yeah, and you're clearly able to manage your own time.
Dude, I'm not. I'm really bad.
Really?
Yeah. But
it comes across like I mean, in the sense that you have ownership of your time. You can, if you want to do something, you can decide to do it.
Yeah. Look, absolutely. You know, I can plan trips, and I often do at the drop of a hat. Someone will come to me and say, right, we need to go to Ethiopia, we need to go to here, we need to go to there, and I can do that. That's because I have my own business, I'm self-employed, and I have a really good team and a very understanding business partner. Because my team have bought into the whole concept that, look, what we're doing is for us. It's for us together, collectively. And you are also part of that Sadaqah Jariyah. If we're trying to leave a legacy, without you guys in the office, without you guys working really hard, without all of us working hard, I would not be able to travel the world and do what I'm doing. So if I'm doing something, and we pray that Allah accepts it, you're part of that. You're part of that reward. And I always pray for them that, you know, anything that I do, that they are also part of that reward, because they enable me to be able to do it. And that's what's important. So you can have, you know, you can choose to be very wealthy, Faisal, and have lots of money, but not be happy. Or you can choose to live a mediocre life, have a bit of money, which is great, but really do the things that you enjoy. And life's short, and I know how short life is, so I want to try and make the most of it while I'm here.
I didn't maybe want to talk about it until a bit later on, but seeing as it kind of perfectly segues in you mentioning life being short, I think first came across your social media because of the story that had been shared about yourself and your daughter, Khadija, and she. So you have, am I right in saying 3 children?
Yes.
And Khadija was the oldest?
No. So Khadija was, she was my only daughter.
Okay.
I have 3 boys, and she was the 3rd oldest.
Okay.
She was just under 3 before she passed away. So she passed away last year. So I had, you know, my oldest son, Ibrahim, he is, I think he's 9, or he might be 10. My wife's going to tell me off when she listens to it. I should know. Ibrahim's 10 years old. And then after Ibrahim, we had another son. I don't know if you know this, Faisal, but we had a son, and we named him Ismael. And he also passed away. So he was born he was a day old, and he passed away because he wasn't breathing for himself. So he was on life support, and the doctors, they said to us they're going to turn the machines off. And they did, and we held him.
You did tell me this. I'm remembering now.
Yeah. So Ismail was, and you know when, subhanallah. So that was like I suppose that was our journey to the deen. Because that's when we kind of, we weren't like overly practicing or anything. Me and my wife. I mean, we're not now to an extent, not as much as we should be. But certainly, we found out when she was pregnant that they said, you know, your child. I remember the first scan. They said that your child is going to be severely disabled.
Wait, was this Ismail or
Ismail? No,
okay.
no, Ismail. Your child will be severely disabled, and he will have some kind of chromosomal problem. You know, subhanallah, bro. I remember one doctor saying to me that she said that it was a nurse, and she said that, you know, your child might even look like a monster. I couldn't believe, like, she said it to us, but because I said to them, look, just tell me what are we up against? You know, what's going on? And they never actually said to us to have an abortion. I think because they knew, like, outwardly, you know, my wife wears a scarf or whatever, we're Muslims. But I think they were trying. It felt like they were trying to do everything to encourage us to do that. But alhamdulillah, we didn't do it. And you know, I remember that when Ismael was born, that they asked us. They said, "Do you want to turn the machines off?" And I went to the masjid, and this is Green Lane. This is when I went to the masjid, and my friend Amr, he was. He didn't know what was happening. He didn't know, like, because my wife all of a sudden went into labour, and it was quite early. And I just went in and I didn't say anything, and I just sat down, and he was like, "You all right?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm good." And as soon as I said that, I just started crying, and I just cried and cried and cried. And he said, like, "What's up?" I explained to him, and then we met the Qadi Zakola, and he's the Imam at Green Lane. And like I just said, "Look, they're asking us to turn the machines off, and I don't know what to do." And he said that as Muslims, we give life every fighting chance, and that we're not to agree to that unless they take it out of your hands and they make that decision for you. And literally, I think a few hours afterwards, they told us that they didn't turn the machines off.
Do you know what? I know we haven't even got to the crux of your story yet, and we're only just beginning to kind of unravel everything that's been going on in the last couple of years in your life. But I was saying to my wife today that this episode would be so heavy because having heard your story before is one thing, but hearing it as someone who is now a father is completely different. And it just reminded me instantly, perhaps selfishly, of when my son was born. And we mentioned on the podcast a few weeks ago that we originally had miscarriage, as you know.
Yeah.
And then when Zachariah was then born, as soon as he was born, they had him on the oxygen, and because he wasn't breathing properly by himself.
Oh, subhanallah.
And at that point, it's the scariest moment of your life, because you think, and you do, again, selfishly think, wow, we had that, and then this and this, and then you're so tense.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine what it was like for you to even one step further be at a point where your child has just been born and then on life support and having that decision taken out of your hands.
Yeah, I mean, I'll never forget the surgeon calling us, and she called us down. We were in the ward. She called us down and said, "We're turning the machines off." And we were just like, subhanallah. And the whole process of my wife being pregnant for the 7-8 months that she was, it really brought us closer to Allah. It just felt that, Allah, it was like a training program. It felt like we were on a training and on a course. And Allah was preparing us for the final outcome, which was like, you're going to lose your child, but we're going to make sure that you have enough faith and iman in your heart to be able to deal with it, to the point that he had like all breathing tubes and whatever. So they explained to us. So I called my family straight away. My entire family landed at the hospital, and they all came in and like said their final goodbyes and stuff. And then everybody left, and it was just me and my wife. And they dressed him up, took everything off and dressed him up and just handed him to us. And I was, my wife was sat down, I was sat by her side, and she held him. And they said that, there may be a slight possibility, and it would be a miracle if he survives. And we held him, and I just knew that he was gone after like a couple of minutes. And I just said to my wife, he's gone. And we said that, we just said the prayer, and we thanked Allah. We said Alhamdulillah, and that was it. We accepted the decision that Allah had made for us. And yeah, so Ismael passed away, subhanallah.
And he was how many days old?
So he was 23 hours, bro.
Okay.
Yeah, he was not even a full day. He was like 23.5 hours, I think. And then, we and that was our journey, really, coming closer to Allah. And then we prayed to Allah, and we asked him to give us another Ismail. And lo and behold, subhanallah, that the one was answered. And we have Ismail now, who's my second eldest, and he is 6 years old, mashallah. And we named him Ismail. so Ismael was born, alhamdulillah, and he was healthy and whatever, and he's good, alhamdulillah. And then we had Khadija, and so Khadija was, our scans are very, because we always remember that, like, the first and the second scan when they tell you that there's something wrong, because I'll never forget it, that even with Ismail the first time they were doing the scan, the guys there doing the scan, and the woman, and she's like, oh yeah, it's there, there's the hand, there's the feet and whatever, and then there's this silence, and the first time, and we've had that so many times, but the first time, and she didn't say nothing, and me and my wife were looking at each other, and she's getting really worried, and she's like, she's trying to do whatever, taking lots of pictures and stuff, and then she said, I'm going to be back, and then she goes outside, and she gets another consultant, the consultant comes in, and she's doing it, and then there's that, we have a problem, and you're like, subhanallah. So
was this the first scan you said?
That was the first scan, but it happened with Khadija too.
No, but with Khadija, was this the first scan that you had with Khadija?
Yeah, the second scan. Okay. So the first scan they can't really, like, they don't look at the heart in too much detail.
Sure.
They just make sure, there's hands, feet, all that good stuff, take some measurements, give you the date of when your baby's due,
sure.
how many months your wife's pregnant. The second scan is the more detailed scan. And that's when they picked up Khadija's, so Khadija had, she had a number of issues, all to do with her heart. So she had a congenital heart defect, and what that means is that she had a couple of holes in her heart, and the main arteries that are connected to the heart, one of them was missing, which means that, so in essence, the plumbing was all messed up inside, and so they said to us very early on that your daughter was very poorly. And again, we had to go, from that point on, we were, they put us on like this plan. We were having like weekly scans. We had to go to like a special, there was 4 surgeons like specialist heart pediatric doctors, or whatever you call them. And they did like an hour scan on my wife, like really detailed. And the one doctor, I never forget this, again, subhanAllah, Indian doctor said, I will be very surprised if your daughter makes it full term. Just like that. And, my wife was like, who does he think he is? Like, he does not, like, she's a mother, right? She said he doesn't know, Allah is the best of planners and whatever. They can't say this. And I said, look, ignore what he says, inshallah. We'll keep praying. And, I just remember, me and my business partner, subhanAllah, we'd be praying in the office. And I remember I came back and I told him, I said, look, we've had the second scan and this is what they're saying, that Khadija's going to be, she's got like problems with her heart and she may not make it. And we'd go to pray, and it was like, our office was very similar to this. So we had like a little meeting room, and that's where we'd pray, and you'd close it. There was one door in between where we'd sat, and it was like towards the early years, not the early years, but of our business, but and you just hear like me weeping, crying every time I went into sujood. I was just begging Allah, to make it better. But like, that's the only thing that I ever wanted, that Allah bless me with a healthy child, let her be healthy, let this the pregnancy go full term and whatever. And Junaid, who's not very emotional, would be doing the same. And it was crazy because it'd be time to pray, we'd both get up like individually, because one of us had to man the phones. We'd pray, have a really strong conversation with Allah, cry our eyes out, both of us can hear each other crying, come back and just sit down and like carry on, like nothing happened. SubhanAllah.
So it's amazing how you have this love for someone before they're born, that you're crying for their health, but you don't necessarily even know them. You never met them, right? How amazing is that? We were saying that ourselves
Yeah, sorry. We did. I bought tissues because I knew this was going to happen. Subhanallah. You know, look, it's absolutely the case that the love that a mother and father have for their child, unborn, is just unreal. It's the beauty of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when we're told that Allah loves us more than our parents and more than our mothers, you know, that's deep, subhanallah. And like losing a child is like, I would not wish it on my worst enemy. You know, if you imagine like the biggest tyrants, and there's a few of them around now, right? Even to them people, bro, I'd never wish that they lose their children. Well, like I don't care what they've done, right? I would never wish that upon them, because it's like the worst thing that could happen to an individual. Like I used to think, because I'm a deep thinker sometimes, and I used to sit back and think to myself, what am I going to do when my mum and dad die? And not having this concept at that time that I could die before them, right? Because we always think that our parents are going to go before us, right? It's just like we just assume that they'll get old and die, and then we'll get old and die, and that's the way life's supposed to go. And I used to think to myself, man, I don't think, and alhamdulillah, both my parents are alive, right? But I used to think, like the day my mum dies will be like, I don't know how I'm going to handle it. I never understood. I always think that's got to be the worst. But losing Khadija, subhanallah, was worse than that. Losing your own child is like, that day that she died, that was like, I'd lost a part of me, and that part will never come back. So yeah, subhanallah, it's but there's hope. Allah gives us hope that, and this is the beauty of Islam, that despite the fact that I've lost 2 children, I'm told, and I believe, like 100%, that my children are in Jannah.
Of course.
Subhanallah, and they're waiting for us, bro.
Does it make you want to work harder for Jannah yourself so that you can see them in Jannah?
Yeah, like absolutely. So me and my wife, we talk about this quite often. In fact, just yesterday she was showing me pictures of Khadija, subhanallah. And we, so our thing here is, and this is really important even for those people that have lost a loved one, a child especially, is that, so Allah promises us that your children are in Jannah, and inshallah we pray that they are the intercession for us. That, we're told different things. They'll hold your hand, they'll be waiting for you in the doors of Jannah, whatever. But ultimately, that does not mean that we have a one-way ticket. We still have to strive. So my thing now is that you have your children waiting for you. You need to make sure that you do the deeds, right? And our deeds will never be good enough to get us into Jannah. It will be with Allah's mercy, but we need to get there. Yeah, subhanallah. So inshallah, we pray and we hope that we're there, bro. I saw her in my dream, subhanallah. When Khadija died, so her condition was actually fixed. She had about 6 open heart surgery. Well, she had 2. I think they opened her heart up twice. She had 4 or 5 cardiac catheters, many procedures done. And for her entire life and her very short-lived life, she was in and out of hospital, bro. And, I think about the time that the days that we'd spend in hospital, and the times that just simple things like, when they try and put the cardiac, the thing inside, the tubes to get blood or whatever. And I often felt so helpless because, she used to scream and cry. And as a father, I was really protective. And I think, subhanallah. And you can't do anything. There's nothing you can do apart from pray to Allah. That's it. And we would just pray and pray and pray that, she was okay. And she'd make it through, subhanAllah. She made it through an 11-hour operation where they fixed her heart and she was recovering. She actually died of septic shock, which was, and it happened really quick.
Okay, so I remember when you told me this part of the story in Iman channel. So this was the last time we met. Because do you know what, bro? I've always wanted to talk to you about your story.
Yeah.
Because I've never met anyone who's been through what you've been through. But I didn't know you enough to ask such a heavy thing. And then I think because I had met you a few times by then, and we were talking about kind of heart congenital heart defects that day and stuff like that, I felt a bit more comfortable to ask you a bit about Khadija. And I was really shocked when you told me towards the end that, like you just mentioned now, that her heart defect was fixed and then she passed away of septic shock.
Yeah.
So what is septic shock? And then, what is that?
So look, septic shock is, or sepsis, however they call it, right? It's an infection that affects people. Like it can affect, it can really affect anyone. But ultimately, it's really dangerous for the elderly, for young children, for people with a low immune system, a weak immune system, and for people with heart conditions. So Khadija was young. She obviously had a heart condition, and her immune system wasn't great. So these three combinations meant that when she caught the infection, it was deadly, and of course she died. We were, subhanallah, we were on the road to recovery, bro. I remember having a conversation with her consultant, one of the last conversations I had with him. And I said, look, so, now that she's better, I said, what do you think, will Khadija always have to come to hospital? And he said that she'll probably be she'll always be an outpatient, but eventually, she might have to come once a year, for a checkup. And I was like, okay, that's cool. We can, because I was thinking long term and about moving abroad and whatever else. So I said to my wife, I said, we can do that. We can move abroad, and we can come back to the UK once a year for a checkup. It's cool. We're all right. But she was such an amazing person, and it's crazy because she was only 3 years old, but she was so loving and caring. Even with little kids, she'd always try and pick bait, children up that were a lot older and heavier than her. Subhanallah. And she became a character, and all the nurses and doctors on the wards kind of knew Khadija, and she was a character. And I have 3 boys, and I love my kids like any parent does. But the relationship that I had with my daughter, I would never have that with my boys, bro. And any father listening to this that has daughters, especially, we live in this culture where a lot of guys, a lot of families, subhanAllah, maybe not so much now, but no, it still happens. Everybody wants boys. You understand? I mean, we know, back in the days, people would bury their daughters alive, subhanAllah, and people are upset, when if you have too many daughters, and it's a lot of pressure for the daughter-in-law, oh, she's not giving him a son, and all this ridiculous mumbo jumbo that we hear. And I used to always think think about. I never used to ask for a daughter. I was very traditional in my way of thinking. And I tell you why I never used to ask for it. I used to always ask Allah for boys. And the conversation I would have with Allah was, look, if I have boys, they get married, they grow up, they find their wives, they get married, they leave the house, it's all good. They can just take care of themselves, right?
They can handle themselves.
Right? So I have to worry about that.
Right.
But if I have a daughter, and I literally used to have this conversation with Allah, that I will love her and cherish her and treat her like a princess for her entire life. And the analogy that I used to give was, and I used to always say that, and then eventually, she will.
Take your time,
Sorry,
bro.
SubhanAllah. And I used to always say, eventually she'll have to get married, and whether we have a say in who she gets married to or whatever, and like we won't know who she gets. Like we won't have any control over it, whether he's a good guy. Oh, SubhanAllah. Sorry, I told you this was going to be emotional. Whether whether he treats her well or he doesn't. We won't know. And I said and I used to say to my wife, I said, look, the day that she gets married and she goes like to her husband's house, I said to my wife that I'd just kill me. I said so I can't deal with that. So I'd rather Allah not give me any daughters, and we're good with boys. Right? We'll just stick to the boys. SubhanAllah. And you know what, Faisal? Allah, we know Allah is the best of planners and works in ways that we will never understand. So the day before Khadija passed away, we'd all gone to the park, and it was a summer's day, and it was great. My whole family, we went to the park, and we even my mom, and we just had a really good time, and but then she wasn't that night, she wasn't too well. But Khadija was always not well, she's always there was always, SubhanAllah, there was something wrong with her. And but it was, so we took her to the hospital anyway, and they just sent us home and said, look, she's got an infection maybe, and don't worry about it. So my wife was up all night with Khadija. Khadija was throwing up and whatever. And then the next day, my wife said, look, there's something not right with her. I'm telling you. And I remember Khadija sat on the bed, and I got my two boys, Ibrahim and Ismael. We also have Abdullah, by the way. He came when Khadija was one and a half. He was a gift from Allah. They're all gifts, subhanAllah, but Abdullah wasn't planned. Abdullah was. Yeah. I mean, obviously it was Allah's plan, which is a better plan. But Abdullah was neglected. We were so busy with Khadija. Yeah. And I remember we found out about Abdullah. We were like, "What? We need to give, because we were going to wait. We were going to wait to have kids after Khadija was sorted. We said we can't have any kids now. We need to focus on Khadija." Anyway, so we'd gone to the park. So the morning, and I remember I saying to the boys, "Look, make your sister laugh. She's really upset. She's not well." So she was lying on the bed, and she was sitting on the bed. And they were dancing around and just trying to make her laugh. And normally she'd be the first person to laugh. She had the most amazing laugh, and she'd but she wasn't laughing, subhanAllah. She was just serious. And even then, you never imagine, through all the times that she was ill, through all the operations that she had, through all the times that we had to wait outside the operating theatre, through the times when her lungs collapsed and she started bleeding, and her lungs were filled with blood. To the times when she caught infections and she'd be rushed to the intensive care unit. We never thought that we'd lose her. We always felt that, inshallah, she'll make it. She never laughed. And me and my wife, subhanAllah, my wife said to me, we need to take her to the hospital. And I said, I was like, no, look, she'll be fine. I'm going to work. And look, inshallah, if she doesn't get better, then just let me know, but it'll be fine. And my wife was insistent. She said, no, you either take her to the hospital or I'll take her myself. And I was like, well, my wife doesn't say that kind of stuff to me, bro. I was like, whoa, subhanAllah, okay, it's on, right? And so I picked her up and put her in the car. And it was a summer's day, I remember, so she had a little dress on. She had a denim jacket on, and up until recently, I still had the jacket in my boot, subhanAllah, and the shoes that she used to wear. But anyway, as I sat her in the car, I picked her up and put her in a car seat, and I noticed that her skin had started peeling off. It was like she had blisters on her thighs and her hands. It was almost like someone had, and I was like, I looked at her and I thought, subhanAllah, that's crazy. What is that? But I thought, okay, so I just sat her in the car, bombed it to the hospital. And as we got to the hospital, they, you know, A&E booked us in, and we were just waiting for about 10 minutes. And then I thought, you know what, I need to say something. So I got up. I said, look, my daughter is really not well. You need to you need to check her out right away. So alhamdulillah, the nurse came and saw her, and she said, right, straight. She saw her. She goes, yeah, she looks really unwell. And I said, look, her skin's coming off. All her skin's like, what's this? Her skin's coming. We don't get it. And you know, even at that point, I was like, yeah, it's cool. We'll go to the hospital. You know, they always fix her. You know, she always Khadija always pulls through. And we went to. So they took her into the hospital, and straight away, as soon as they took her into A&E at the back, within minutes there was loads of people around her, and we were just praying, and it was subhanallah, and one doctor and another consultant, and at one point I think there was like 8 doctors around her, bro. And what they had to do was they had to try and get antibiotics inside into Khadija. And you know, I'm very even when like stuff like that going on, I try and like control my emotions, and I always think to myself, and I used to do this even when we were in the hospital, like, what's the best for Khadija? So the best thing that we can do now, like me and my wife, is we step back. We don't get into the way of the doctors. Like, let them do what they're doing, right? And just step back. As much as you want to be there with your daughter, you just need to let the doctors do what they're doing. So we kind of step back. And then she was like quiet through it all. She wasn't like crying. I think what had happened is at that point her organs had started to shut down. Her body was literally like, you know, her organs were shutting down, and she was on her way out. And I remember kneeling next to her, and I said to her, I said, look, inshallah, like, don't worry, Papa's here. It'll be okay. And then I went and stood at the end of the bed. Because her condition was so bad, they had to drill into her shin bone to get that was the quickest way to get the antibiotics into her bloodstream or whatever. And I never forget the sound of the drill. And they drilled into her shin bone. They did it once, subhanallah, and she never moved. She didn't say anything. And then they did it twice, and then they drilled again into her shin bone. Like, can you imagine? You know, I said, subhanallah. What that must be, like, we just bang our shins on the table, and we, you know, everyone's done it. SubhanAllah, you know, we know the pain, bro. She didn't move, and there was one point that she sat up, and she called for us, and she said, "Papa." She sat. It was like that was the final look that she would give us. And she sat up, and I said, it's all right, baby, just lie back down, you know, it'll be cool. And then she lay down, and then it was just getting really bad, like, around the bed. There was too many doctors and stuff, and my wife was getting really upset. So I just said, look, we're going to go and sit in the waiting room. We just need to let them do what they're doing, right? SubhanAllah. And honestly, wallahi, even at that point, I was like, you know, it's cool. They're going to handle this. Like, she's really poorly, but they're going to handle it. So we went and sat in the visitors' room, and what seemed like a lifetime away, they come back, and the doctors, the consultant, and another doctor came in, and they said, "Your daughter's really, really poorly. Her heart stopped beating, but we managed to resuscitate her and bring her back. But she probably won't make it." And my wife didn't understand. She was like, "What are they saying?" And I was like, and you know, before that point, like two of my best mates, Amr and Junaid, I text them, and I said, boys, Khadija's in a really bad state, and I remember the text too. You know, I said, I don't know what will happen from this point on, but you just have to make sure that whatever happens properly, and it's done according to the way it should be done. And I think I was just preparing them to say, look, like, we're gonna just have to, because I didn't know what state of mind I would be in, and I you know, and I remember I had to call my sister and say to her that, look, you guys need to come to the hospital, man, you know. And she was like, well, what's up? Like, it was a normal day for everyone, you know. And I was like, look, Khadija's really poorly and she's probably not going to make it. My sister was like, what are you, I remember it clearly. She said, Sunny, what are you saying? And I said, look, just come to the hospital, subhanAllah. And so they took her upstairs to the PICU unit. And my family started arriving one by one. And so we were like, and then my friends started coming, and, you know, everyone was coming to the thing. So everyone's in the room around Khadija, and I was in the corridor. And the emergency light went off. And if for those of you that have been to the hospitals, you'll know it's the orange light that goes off. And, you know, in the couple of years that Khadija was in the intensive care unit, we heard it a few times. It's when there's an emergency and all the doctors and nurses run. And it went off, and I just knew it was Khadija's bed. So I shouted to my family. I said, call my wife, because she wasn't by the bed. And I've run they had her in a separate room, and I've run into the room, and I saw and had to watch the doctors try and resuscitate Khadija for 8 minutes. You know, pumping away at her tiny little body, and I was like, I said to them, you know, I was just like again, even at that point, I was just like, look, you know, I was just calming my family down. Everyone's like, you know, getting really emotional. I said, look, let them do what they're doing. And I remember, you know, like in the movies, bro, the machine just, you know, you can see her heartbeat. There's nothing there. It's a plain line. And Dave was like, stop. And while all this was happening, I started giving the adhan. Like, I don't know why. I just thought, subhanAllah, man, she needs to hear the adhan, man. You know, and I started giving out the adhan really loud. And because I wanted to, I thought, if this is it, then I want her to hear the call for prayer. You know, that the last thing that she listens to, bro, it needs to be that. And I just started giving. It was like a, you know, I don't know.
Yeah, we were just like in the middle of the ward.
Yeah, just giving out. You know, it was crazy, but I did it. I just, I started giving out the other, and so they said that, you know, and then they stopped, and like Dave, the consultant, said, you know, there's nothing we can do for her and stuff. And I was like, she's dead. So, and I remembered what we're told about the time a calamity strikes. The time, not afterwards, not when you've had time to grieve and you're cool, the time it happens. So I said to my family, they were all in the room, and I said to them, I said, Khadija's gone and she's no more. But Allah has promised that those who show patience at this point, there's a reward waiting for them people, subhanAllah. So I said to them at that point, show patience now, and Allah will reward you for that patience. And then I just went to the corner of the room, and I went into sujood. And, you know, I just said to Allah, I said, you know, you've taken my daughter, and that's cool. Like, we don't, like, but and I said, just give me patience, man. Yeah, bro. I was like, just give me patience. I need patience right now, Allah. Just give me patience. Whatever I do from this point on, just give me patience.
Are you generally a patient man?
You know, I think even the most patient of people would just break down, bro.
Yeah.
At that point, you know. So I got up, and then I just went into autopilot. You know, I was just like, I need to get her buried. That was my objective at that point. Was she needs to go. She's gone. We need to get her washed. We need to get her shrouded, and we need to get her buried.
Yeah, it sounds like you went into like this fight or flight mode where you, at that point when something so important has taken place, you felt the responsibility. I'm the man in this situation. I'm her dad. I'm the husband. And if nobody's going to take the responsibility, if I'm not going to take the responsibility, nobody else will. And you just thought, I've got to block off my emotions and just tick boxes. Is this done? Is this done? Let's do this. Let's make sure that everything is done properly.
You know, many years ago, I went to a funeral prayer of my cousin's mom. And my cousin's like this super, like, Salafi guy, right? He's like proper, you know, big beard, long hair, mashallah. He's from London. He's one of your lot.
Okay.
Like, yeah.
London boys.
Yeah, the London boys, mashallah. Allah bless him, right? And his mum died. We were only young. And, you know, this guy showed some patience, man. Like, he was at the funeral of his mother, and all the way through the whole process, he didn't I didn't see him cry once. He was giving like everybody else, like, you know, be patient, show sabr, right? And, you know, subhanallah, Faisal, I remember as a teenager standing there watching him they put the coffin into the ambulance, and like he had a split second moment when he just like put his hand on the coffin, and I was stood there thinking, he's gonna go now. He's got to go, man. He's got to cry, but he didn't. And I made a prayer at that point, and I remember making a prayer at that point, and like I wasn't practicing at that point at all, bro. Right? But I made a prayer. I said, Ya Allah, if anything like this ever befalls me, then give me the same patience that you've given Adil. Subhanallah. So I knew that at the point of Khadija, like, because we'd already gone through what Ismael had gone through, and because, you know, we were constantly, our journey was bringing us closer to Allah, and I knew with that, you know, that if I show patience at that point, the reward is immense. And I'd heard it so many times, and so many people had told it me. And, you know, even at Ismail's funeral, people were coming up to me that I'd never know. They were shaking my hand, and they were leaving like a slip of paper in my hand, and I'd open it, and it's the hadith that we all know about, you know, in terms of like show when the angels go to Allah. And so I says, right, we need to just get the, you know. So I didn't have that that outburst of like, you know, crying. My wife was like, she was gone. She didn't know where she was, you know, subhanAllah. She was just like, you know, she fainted at one point. We were trying to take her away. So they said, you know, do you want to spend some time in the room with Khadija and stuff? And I said, you know, we said, great. But then eventually we had to leave. So I remember my wife saying to me, she was like, so we went home, it was early hours of the morning, and she said, where's Khadija going to be? You know, she said, where's she going to stay tonight? And I said, they're going to keep her in the mortuary, you know, they're going to keep her in the freezer. And she said, but she's going to be cold. And I was like, nah, I said, look, she's gone, man. You know, it's just her body. Don't worry about it. It's fine. And she said, but she's going to be all on her own. And I said, I know, but like, we're all going to be on our own, subhanAllah. I said, but she's gone. She's in a better place. She's in Jannah. Don't worry. This is just her body. This is just her body. The soul has gone. So then, we went back, and then obviously we were very fortunate that we were able to arrange it so that her funeral was the next day, and it was very. And then came to the ghusl, bro.
Who does the ghusl in this?
So
in this situation?
I did it
By yourself?
Yeah. Well, my wife couldn't do it. She wasn't
Okay.
emotionally. She
Right.
wasn't there. So it was me and Amr, my best mate, and then there was a sister there too that, just to help us in any way. So somebody went to the hospital to collect Khadija, because we were running around trying to arrange the funeral and whatever. And I remember walking into the Green Lane, the room, and it was like she was on the bed, on the metal table, with the sheets over her face. And when we talk about the hardest thing that you've done, the hardest thing, and I walked into the room and I remember looking at the table and thinking, oh man, I can't do this. And Amr, Allah bless him, said, look, and I remember he put his hand on my shoulder and he said, look, we can do this. You can do this. And I walked in and, uncovered her face and just and she looked so peaceful and just like the little chubby fatty Khadija that I knew. And I was like, oh my God. And so we started doing the ghusl, subhanAllah. And when I mentioned that I used to worry about having daughters, right? So we did her ghusl, and it was like I said, the hardest thing. And then we came to her hair, and we were like, what do we do now? She had long hair, right, the little munchkin. And the sister that was with us, she said that it's the sunnah to braid the hair, to braid it in three plaits or whatever. So alhamdulillah, she was there to do that because me and Amr wouldn't have a clue.
Uh-huh.
So we braided her hair and made her look really pretty for her mum, and we put her in her shroud and we put her into a little coffin. And as I was talking and as we were doing the ghusl, I kept stopping and starting. And I said to Amr, I said, subhanAllah, Amr, I used to always ask Allah, not to give me daughters, because I never knew where they would end up. I was always worried that process of me getting them prepared to get married, and then I said, and look at this, I'm putting her in her shroud, almost as if I'm putting her in her wedding dress, and we're seeing her off, putting her in a coffin, almost as if we're seeing her off to a final resting place. But the final resting place that I used to worry about, who's going to take care of her, is with Allah. Subhanallah, that Allah's almost said to me, don't worry about it. You used to worry about where your daughter's going to end up. You used to worry that the guy that she ends up with, her husband, is he going to be able to give you the same care, love and attention that you would as a father? So now we're taking her and she's returning to us and she is with the best, being looked after by the best. Don't worry about it. It's cool. And then we called my wife in. We only had, it was a Jummah, subhanAllah. It was really, so at times we were really short on time, and we had to get her to the front before the khutbah started. So I called my wife in, and this, I was really worried about this because I thought, how is she going to react?
Yeah, of course.
But alhamdulillah, she came in and I lifted the casket, the cover, and she looked at me, and I remember my wife saying, She said, oh, subhanallah. Look how peaceful she looks. And I said, yeah, subhanallah. She's ready to meet Allah. She's all right, you know. And then we prayed, you know, we alhamdulillah, we prayed the janazah. It was like the masjid was packed. Because I shared the story, you know. From when she was born, I shared the story because I knew straight away that there were so many people out there that are suffering. And from like the first post that I put up, because I'm like a believer that some people would say, you know, why are you sharing it? It's personal, you know, you should keep it to yourself. And some people are quite private, and I get that. But you know, the thing is, bro, like, you don't know whose dua is going to get answered. You know, and I always say that there's so many people out there, so many brothers and sisters that are so close to us. I say close to us, we don't even know them.
Yeah.
How many times have you prayed for someone that would never know that you know, they don't even, like, you may not even be close to them. Like, I do it all the time. It might even be someone that I've just like really random, you know, I've seen someone in the shop, or I've seen someone I think that they're not doing too well, or they're a bit upset or whatever, and you're praying for that person. They never know that you're going to do it. So I used to always say, by sharing the story, especially when Khadija was in hospital, and I'd always say, she's back in, guys. So many people followed the journey to the point where, you know, when I, so we took her to the, we did the janazah. We took her to the graveyard to bury her, and my boys Ibrahim and Ismael kept saying to me, "Where's Khadija going, Dad?" And I was like, "John, she's going to Jannah." And you know, so I made sure that they were with me every step of the way. They lowered her into the ground. They put the dirt, you know, the first fistful of dirt on you know, onto her, and they were there because they had to understand.
Do they remember her?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, yeah, absolutely. We always talk. We don't want Khadija's memory to ever fade. You know, sometimes you get really worried because, like, sometimes I think to myself, "Oh, subhanallah, like, what if I forget what she looks like?" I don't think it could ever happen, but you know, you start worrying that, you know, whatever. But we talk about her, and I think my oldest Ibrahim found it really hard, and Abdullah, my youngest, found it like, I mean, he couldn't even talk at the time, but they were like best mates, you know, and Khadija would like bully him because there's only a year between them. So I think he felt it the most, but he's a kid, like, he can't.
How does your wife feel about you being so public with the story, especially with it being something that is so close to her?
So my wife's not on, like, Facebook,
Yeah.
so she probably doesn't see half of the stuff that I post. But I share the messages with her, like, and I always make a point of that, because I've got, like, brothers and sisters more so, subhanallah, that message me, and people from, like, you know, because some of the posts that we put up just go viral, bro. Like the you know, like, you know, the newspapers would even pick up on the post, some of them, and then write about the post. But so I'd share the messages to my wife, and I'd say, look at this person, you know, we've lost Khadija and Ismael, and this person's just lost. I remember one sister told me that she'd lost 4 kids, 4 daughters, bro, and she said her daughter, and she said, my daughter's, I think her children had some kind of, like, you know, illnesses when they would be born. She said, I've lost 4 kids, and my other daughter's on her way out. So, you know, so when you hear stories like that, bro, and people say to you that your posts have made a difference, that, you know, they've managed to, that they can. Sorry, bro. They can.
I've got more tissue here, bro. If you need it, I got a whole roll.
Yeah, I need some more, bro.
Yeah,
Sorry.
It's so degrading being a roll, but I didn't have a box.
No, I'm gonna keep it in.
Yeah, keep it with you.
Sorry guys for
Bro,
watching.
you know what? Just while you do that, you never realize the impact that your story has on others, but especially people who have been through or are going through the same thing that you went through, because not everybody shares their public story. Not everybody shares their private stories, and so some people suffer alone in silence. And just knowing that somebody else has been through it and that they can relate to somebody, what it does is it makes you feel like you're not alone. And that feeling of feeling like you're not the only one in the world who's gone through something is such a powerful feeling when you need it. You know, when you're going through something and someone says, or you see someone else has been through it, it just puts everything into perspective, and you tell yourself, oh wow, not at least someone else has gone through it, but I'm not alone in this situation. Other people have experienced it and they've maybe made it out the other end. Because your social media is very positive, bro. And although today you are very kind of emotional, you'd expect to be, because this is the first time, as you mentioned, that you've really spoken about your story ever in terms of spoken about it. Normally you write about it. But generally, bro, the amount of positivity that just comes from you in your just everyday speech, in your social media, every time I meet you, it's always smiles. How were you able to transition taking that loss to the positivity that you now have, and then subsequently into your charity work? What did it give your charity work a boost?
So absolutely. So the biggest lesson that we learnt from Khadija's death was how short life really is. The conventional way that we're brought up, you know, if we look at conventional, our thinking, if everything goes to the way it's supposed to, almost like textbook, you know, like the textbook life is, you're born, you know, you grow up, you grow older, you get a job, you get married, you have children, you die, you know, your children continue and they live on. Your children should be the ones that bury you and not the other way around. So for me, we knew straight away that that's not the way it is, you know, and you can relate to it when it happens to you. So the first lesson and biggest lesson that we learned is how short life is, bro.
Yeah.
And the fact that we wanted to help people that were in the same boat as us. I always say this, look, we were at the hospital and alhamdulillah, you know, for 3 years, bro, right, or for, right, for 3 years we were like I didn't focus on my business. You know, I'd go to the office and I'd think to myself, okay, I'm ready to like go back to work. I'd go to the office, I'd literally sit on my desk, I'd switch my computer on and I'd be like, I can't do this, man. And my staff, and I'd be like, I'm going back to the hospital. And I'm like, all right, see you later. You know, my staff would be like, yeah, they get it. I'd be having, you know, management meetings on the boardroom table with my team, and I'd start crying, you know, and I'd start crying, and they just sit there in silence and start crying with me, you know, subhanAllah. And they weren't all Muslim neither, and they got it. And I said, look, guys, I'm really sorry. But I explained to them, you know, from the very start that, like, the boss that you knew, you know, before is going through you know, like, I'm going through a really tough time, and you guys be there. So look, so I wanted to help people, and look, the charity work, subhanAllah, started like it started before Khadija. You know, it started many years ago, but it was on a smaller scale. My thing is this: is you and I don't know how long we have in this dunya, bro. And what legacy are we going to leave behind? Like, you got, you know, 2 bank balances that you need to work on, you know, and the most important one isn't in this dunya, you know. And it's my healing process. Like, I went to, you know, subhanAllah, I went to a charity deal yesterday as an ambassador for Syria Relief, and on stage there was a nasheed artist, and he brought his daughter with him. So they both sang a nasheed together, and you know, and he spoke about you know, how he wants to like inspire, and I can't remember the words in the nasheed, but it was something along the lines of, you know, if you want to be a doctor, you can be a doctor. If you want to be a lawyer, you can be a lawyer. If you want to be an astronaut, you can be an astronaut. And I got really emotional, you know. I thought, subhanAllah, because I always imagined that I'd have that relationship with my daughter.
Yeah.
You know, that she, like, anything she wants to do, it's cool, man. Like, my boys would be secondary. You know, I'd be like, you know, it's Khadija, and you guys are just like, yeah, whatever. You know,
the side men.
the side men. You know,
Yeah.
and we were really looking forward to. Like, she's got 3 brothers to look after her, and she, you know, so I had to make a choice, and the choice was really simple for me. Right, I can either go into depression, go down and out, you know, come further away from Allah, start questioning my religion, my existence, and why horrible things happen to us in the world, and why my daughter, that's never done anything to anyone, she's masoom and sinless, is now on the table going through the pain that she's going through. But I actually believe something that, and I don't know, I need to like ask, maybe you can ask Mufti Menk about this, I don't know, but because he's your boy, right? It's like maybe, like, I believe that children don't go through the pain that we think they're going through. The lessons and the pain is for us adults. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes complete sense.
Like, I honestly, like, I don't believe that. Although outwardly you would think, yeah, they're crying, they're in pain, she's in pain. Like, she's screaming out in pain. I saw that. I saw her in so much pain. But that wasn't Khadija's lesson. Like, that wasn't like her test. That was our test.
Yeah, I know exactly.
Like, you get it? Like, as parents, that's our test. Like, this is the reality of life.
There was a reason that Allah wrote for that to happen in your life.
Oh,
and it wasn't just to pass time.
No.
There was lessons to be learned.
Bro, like, and I honestly think that, if Ismael didn't happen, and if Khadija didn't happen, then my life would be on a different track now, bro.
So now with your 3 boys you have now, right?
Yeah.
Ismail, Ibrahim and Abdullah?
Yeah.
And did your relationship with them change? How is it now with them? Like what's the environment like in the household? Because as you mentioned, we're not talking about something that happened 5-10 years ago. We're talking about something that's very recent.
Yeah, it's been a year. So look, the most difficult thing that we had to do in the house was, so my boys shared a room with Khadija.
Okay.
Like, Abdullah was still with me and my wife because he was very young.
Sure.
And Ibrahim and Ismail have a bunk bed, and Khadija had like a little like princess bed which was like pink, and the other section of the room was like blue. So it was like, and she was a proper girl's girl, and my wife like loved the whole, like if they'd go to a function or if we'd go anywhere, everyone would be like, what's Khadija wearing today? Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was all about Khadija, and my wife really used to go all out because like she had a daughter after like two boys, and she's like, So, I remember one point when about a week after Khadija's death, so I didn't like speak to my wife about changing her bedding or like her wardrobes. We just wanted to leave it as it is, right? But we started having those conversations, like me and my sisters and my family. Like, look, eventually we're gonna have to, And I remember my wife going into Khadija's room, and I'm gonna get emotional again. I thought it was all right, and she took her nightie. She had like this little pink nightie thing. And, she went in, she like frog marched into her room, took this one nightie, brought it back and put it into her side drawer. And I noticed it, but I didn't say anything, I just like, I get it, So then I couldn't change the bedding. I just can't, I'm just like a typical bloke, I can't change beds. and my wife wasn't going to do it. So my sister, they went out and bought like some, like, boys' bedding and stuff, and like came back and changed Khadija's sheets and transformed it, so that was now going to be Abdullah's bed. That was the whole, and that was the most difficult part. And then many months afterwards, like we said that we wouldn't, like, only my wife can like put her clothes away and stuff. So no one did that. And I think like maybe 3-4 months ago, she did it. She did it on her own, and she just packed it up and packed all her clothes away. And she's put them in the loft. She's hoping for a daughter, inshallah.
Allah bless you with a daughter.
I mean, everybody say I mean. Was listening, So she packed it, and she told me. She said I did it, and I was really proud of her. So I was just saying that, all the hurt and all the pain needs to be challenged into something positive. And the best way, like my advice to anyone that's dealing with something similar, is that first and foremost, let this bring you closer to Allah, because then know it's a blessing. And secondly, channel all that energy, all that pain, all that emotion into positive things, and that will be your healing process. Every time you do a charitable project, every time you give some sadaqah, every time you help somebody, it's all part of that journey we call life, you know. And I believe that, like, even posts that I write that assist people, you talk about this positive energy, I genuinely do believe that that is my sadaqah. And you know, I'm like every day, bro, honestly, I'm getting messages of people, different, like completely random people from all over the world, just sharing their stories with me. We read your post, we feel really sorry for you, we just want to say that, condolences, etc., etc. I had a guy message me the other day on LinkedIn, bro, a white guy, he's a director for a company. Now on LinkedIn, and I don't share my, like, really emotional posts on LinkedIn, because that's more like, you get it, that's more professional, right? So all my clients are on there, right? But he messaged me and he read a post, like about Khadija somewhere. And he said, Sunny, my son is in the final stages of leukemia. He's had it for 10 years. And
that's heavy, man.
Yeah, and he said, I'm really struggling. This is a white guy, a non-Muslim, and he said, I'm really struggling, mate. And I was like, So I like straight away messaged him, but I sent him voice notes. Like, I thought, so I sent him like 5 or 6 voice notes. And the worst thing was, he was like, he was having issues with his wife. So his son was with his wife and he was separating. And, we see a lot of that. A lot of people, when their children are terminally ill or they lose a child, a lot of couples go through divorces because they, we saw it in hospital, bro. Yeah. We saw couples fall apart in front of our eyes because their children were terminally ill in hospital because they just couldn't take the pressure. So I just, I gave him some words of comfort and whatever else. And then, like 2 weeks later, he messaged me saying that, I can't remember what his son's name was, but he said he died last night. I just thought I'd let you know. And I was given that, and it's dawah, it's our actions, the way we are with people. Like, I can't do the whole Mufti Meng thing. I don't think any of us could, to be honest. But I can't do the whole dawah thing. I can't stand on this street corner preaching. I can't go to masjids and give lectures and stuff. That's just not me. But what I can do is I can do my bit for the deen.
Yeah.
And if that's just my words and my actions, then let it be, bro.
Sorry, it's such an inspiring story, bro. And hearing it from yourself, it leaves me speechless, because you can't imagine what it's like to go through what you've been through. But even more than that, you feel so proud as a fellow brother in Islam that you've been able to see it as a blessing, like you just mentioned, see it as a way for you and your wife to get closer to Allah, and then also see it as a way for you to chase Jannah so that you can be there with your children. And so that's something that I hope that all the listeners have taken away from this episode is, whenever you maybe feel like you're down and out, to consider what it is that you're, the opportunity that you're being given.
Absolutely. And it's not as easy and as straightforward as that, Faisal, because you will be tested, and the how can I put this? So really quickly, because I know you wanted to end there, right? But I'm going to just mention the fact that soon after Khadija passed away, Tufail from Islamic Relief.
Yes,
Tufail, right? So I remember Tufail lost his son. Has he been on the podcast?
He hasn't been on the podcast, but I've only had one a conversation with Tufail ever. I had a phone call with him a few months back.
Okay, so you need to
I don't know him too well.
Okay, so I Tufail shared his story with me, he lost his son.
Okay.
And I remember him sharing that story with me, and I remember thinking, when Tufail lost his son, that is oh man, that is the worst thing that can happen. I didn't know at the point that I'd have to go through something very similar. But Tufail like said to me that if you can, the best thing that we did as a family was we went to Umrah. So me and my wife went to Umrah. A couple of weeks after Khadija died, it was actually in Ramadan, and it was the best thing that we did, like the best thing. But listen to this crazy thing that happened to us when we went. We went to Umrah, and we were in Makkah. On the same night, both me and my wife had crazy dreams, bro. Like, she saw one of our children like burnt, right?
SubhanAllah.
And I did something like crazy in my dream, like just horrible dreams. And we both woke up, and we both said to each other that I've had this like crazy dream, you know, and it's like, you know, it's really shook me up. And like, we're in Makkah, man, we're in the Haram, you know, like what's going on? So I called Sheikh Yahya Ibrahim.
Okay.
And I explained to him my dreams. I said, Sheikh, like, this is crazy, man. What's going on? You know, I've had these dreams and whatever, and I don't understand it. And alhamdulillah, he was able to interpret our dreams and say, look, you've been through something that has brought you closer to Allah. The devil will be working his hardest to try and bring you off that track, because what you're doing is pleasing to Allah. You've gone about it the right way, right? You've come to Umrah, you know, whatever. This guy is trying to sidetrack you. So whatever you're doing, increase it, you know. So we're like, all right, game on then, yeah, let's do this. If you're going to try and, like, you know. So alhamdulillah, we increased our, like, ibadah. And, oh, subhanallah, I never forget it, bro. And then I had another dream. And I saw Khadija in my dream. And she was like in a dress and smiling and taking me by the finger somewhere. Wallahi, man. And I was like, subhanallah. You know, it's just, and I know we haven't got time, but we could talk about this forever. So even when you're trying to do the best and please Allah and go on that path that you think is pleasing to Him, bro, I've fallen off the track so many times. We all know we've all got our weaknesses inside us, but the secret is to get back on it.
Yeah.
You know, and don't get to the point when you feel there's no return.
He's Ar-Rahman, innit?
Indeed, bro. And you know, like without Islam, and without our religion, and without the brothers, you know, from the masjid, like Green Lane Mosque, and my friends, and brothers like you, and whatever else, and the support, I'd have done so much stupid, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, alhamdulillah, and the journey's long, bro. You know, it's still not over. There's still so much to do.
What's next in your plans?
So look,
Like you said, you're young. You're 35.
35, yeah, bro. Subhanallah. Inshallah. This year I've deliberately been very reclusive, not been out on the scene as much. Done a few trips abroad and stuff. But next year, inshallah, 2020, is the big one for me, inshallah. So there's lots planned. So I'm taking a group of people to Lebanon and Jordan in January, and then there's trips planned to Iraq, to Turkey, and then we're going to open up other countries too, so going to other countries. So that's the first thing. So my deployment program will be big, taking volunteers out, really simple. So when you post this, can people get in touch with me? Are you gonna,
of course,
yeah, inshallah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're trialing this new thing with Freshly Grounded, where we pretty much put episodes out as soon as we recorded them.
Okay.
So this will be out. It's like 8:30 at night, but this will be out tonight for our premium subscribers, our patrons, and then it will be out tomorrow for everyone.
Wow, that quick.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah.
Inshallah.
So if anybody wants to get in touch with me, there's that good stuff, and there's, you know,
how can they get in touch with you? Because I think you have 2 Instagram pages.
Yeah, bro. You know what happened? Let me tell you about this story about my Instagram page, right? So the first one, right? I'm gonna be honest. I bought some people. Whatever.
Okay, fine.
No,
at least you're honest enough to admit it then.
No. The first one, bro, I was, and you know what? And I thought that's wrong. I shouldn't do that. There was no engagement, so but I didn't want to close it down because there's a couple of people that I'm interacting with on there, right? So I just put it as like private.
Fine.
So now my new Instagram account, which is just Sunny Araf, SUNNYARAF, one.
The number one, right?
The number one, yeah.
That's the one that I...
Yeah, that's it. So that's just like, it's all like, I don't, and bro, I'm an old guy, right? So I'm Facebook. I'm really trying to catch up on Instagram. I don't post it. I know. I need to come off Facebook and I need to catch up on Instagram. But so it's Instagram, and that's it. And, but so again.
So Sunny Araf 1 is where people can contact you.
Basically, yeah, they can contact me on that. And I've got my website coming up that will be launched in the new year, sunnyaraf.co.uk. And that will have all my projects on there.
Amazing.
All the events that we're doing. If anybody wants to get in touch with that, inshallah, that'll be up. It's just really difficult because I have to write about myself, bro, and I can't do that.
Yeah,
Sunny Araf is, and I started doing it and I thought, man, I can't do this. Either I'm going to go OTT and make myself sound like a superhero and it's going to be so cheesy that people are going to be like, or it's just going to be really so I've given it to one of my mates.
That's the best way.
Yeah, I said, look, dude, you need to write about me, right? About the website. And alhamdulillah, I think inshallah it'll be a bit of a sadaqah for him too. And that's it, bro. So inshallah, I'll focus on I'm an ambassador at the moment for Syria Relief, the charity. Working really hard with them, and a couple of my ambassadorships are coming to an end now. So that as you said at the start of the thing, there was the British Asian Trust, there was Muntadah Aid, there was a couple of other charities. So I really want to focus on a few projects in the new year, inshallah. And you should get involved, bro.
Yeah, man, hit me up, bro. Yeah, because you're always working on such amazing projects.
Why don't you come out with me? I'm gonna get him on Freshly Grounded.
Do you know how many people have I'm telling you, there's a list of people right now who are like saying, actually, was it you that last year we were gonna go as Bangladesh?
No, we were gonna. So I think me and you were involved with Muntadah Aid at the same time, right? That's when I messaged you when I was the Little Hearts project. Do you remember?
Yeah.
So look,
I've been meaning to go to Little Hearts. I've been meaning to go to for a long time. I want to go to Bangladesh because there's a street children project going on over there. I'm going to be in Spot in Gambia probably earlier Ramadan this year. So I have like a big to-do list because I have so many people who are saying you need to come out here, you need to come out here, you need to come out here, and I've been so engrossed in this that. Or just generally with scheduling and stuff, trying to make it work.
It's difficult.
And in this past year, nobody knew that we were expecting a child, and so it was hard because I had to write the year off because I just wanted to be here, especially with what happened with the last pregnancy. I wanted to make sure I was here the whole time. So I took this whole year off being abroad, but everybody was even when you contacted me, I was trying to say to you, I was like, oh bro, I can't really make it.
We were in Saudi together and you tried every excuse not to meet me. I remember. SubhanAllah. Look, the thing is, I get it, and you know what, the fact that you wanted to be there is amazing, man. Allah bless you, bro, and your family, right?
No, but I want to get involved with your project, man.
No, look, so for me, I've been very. For some people, that it will come across like I'm very sorry. We've got to stop because you.
No. Do you know what it is? When I look down there, it's because we haven't got a producer in today. These are the audio levels.
Oh.
So when I look down there, I'm just making sure that you're still being picked up. I don't want there to be any technical hitches, you know.
Okay.
So everything's fine.
Everything's cool, yeah.
Everything's cool.
All right, brilliant. So, look, the thing is this is what. So this year I really spent. I kind of off social media, and for the people that are following me will know that is crazy. We didn't apply for any awards. We didn't go to any ceremonies. We really stayed back. But inshallah, the idea is I've got a couple of projects that I don't want to mention just yet, specific to Muslims, celebrating excellence within the Muslim community. That's one. Are you going to be, when you say celebrate, are you doing some award shows? Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
You can help us. You can help us fill up this.
Yeah. And you know what? SubhanAllah, one of the categories, Faisal, will be what awards have you got?
So I've got outstanding podcast of 2019.
MashaAllah.
Chowdhury.
Wow.
And then this one's like an appreciation award for the work that we do for Spot.
Okay.
Yeah, for the Spot projects. So they're the two awards that we have. But we wouldn't mind
another one,
best podcast ever kind of award.
Yeah. The judging process will be fair and transparent.
Fine.
So
I'll slip you something under the table.
You can say, well, then that's another conversation. Yeah. But celebrating, because I'm so passionate about that. Look, the thing is that there is so much talent within our community.
You're 100% right, bro. Do you know what? I've even considered that concept of celebrating excellence in our community, but I've never been able to figure out a way to pull it off in a way that like ticks all boxes, and that's why I left it.
So I'm gonna talk to you when we come off this podcast, because I think it'll be
sounds like you're the
unfair.
man for the job.
I think it'll be unfair that we discuss it on here, especially that you're going to release it so soon.
Yeah.
But inshallah, I don't want to like.
Someone's out there right now buying the domain
Yeah,
excellence.com.
and that's happened to me too, right?
Yeah.
So like, I want to be careful on that, right? I want to do something that is unique, but again, it's celebrating like all the amazing things that we do as a ummah, subhanallah. So there's that. There's lots to do with entrepreneurs and entrepreneurship in general. You know, I'm very much about inspiring people, sharing my story, all that great stuff. And there's a few like really exciting, relevant announcements that I want to make next year, inshallah. And I hope I can come and do it on here.
But we would love that. You're more than welcome to come back. And you know, I was really eager to hear your story on here for the fact that you've never really shared it publicly in depth. And I think, as you do, that there'll be a lot of people who will benefit from it. And so, what I wanted to say is,
Faisal's dad's calling him.
Yeah, I know. Do you know what's funny as well? Because he's calling me from Pakistan.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Should we get him on live?
Oh, we could. Is that Assalamu alaikum, Dad? Yeah, good. Thank you. How are you?
Faisal's dad's live.
I'm just recording a episode of Freshly Grounded, but I'm finishing it up now. Everything okay?
I just want to know what you're doing on Saturday.
I'm picking you up from the airport. We're gonna have to block that conversation out because it would be such a boring one for the camera. But my dad's in Pakistan right now. He's just calling for some logistics.
Are you from Jhelum?
My dad's from Jhelum. No, do you know what, bro? My dad's not from Jhelum, but he's from like raw above. I can't. How long have we been doing this podcast? It's insane. How
long have we been on?
We haven't been on for that long. It's 1 hour 45.
Yeah.
But it's insane how many how many notifications I've got, which I don't normally get. I'm not that popular normally.
Oh, mashallah. You're doing good, bro. You're doing good.
So
Can you speak Jhelum language?
Yeah, of course, bro. I speak.
What is it?
Hold on a second. So first of all, my dad. We're not from Jhelum, but the Jhelum is the closest city because it's a small village where my dad's from.
Where are you from?
It's a small village called Sarai Alamgir.
Sarai Lamgir.
No, Sarai Alamgir.
Oh, Salim Alamgir.
No, not slime Alamgir. Anyway,
sorry, yeah.
Sarai Alamgir.
Sarai Lamgir.
So, but that's the closest city is Jhelum. So
Are you
then
like a
it's easier
Pathan?
to say no Punjabi.
Like, so what do you speak like?
But a Punjabi is very like rough Punjabi.
What do you speak?
Punjabi.
No, like how? Say something in Punjabi.
What do you want to say?
Like, just say, my name's Faisal.
But that's the same in almost all Pakistani languages.
Okay, we just say something completely random then. Like, what does Siri want?
Oh,
See,
do you know what's funny, bro? I changed my Siri recently to Arabic, but it's the worst because I don't know. For example, I'd say like call someone,
Okay.
and then it also doesn't pick up names because the names aren't written in Arabic.
Say
So it's
something in
just
Arabic to the Siri.
Listen, guess how you say "Hey Siri" in Arabic?
How'd you say it?
Ya Siri. Ya Siri. Oh, it's not working out. You say Ya Siri.
Bro, you said that loud out in public, right? You get in trouble.
Yeah, no. Ya Siri. I don't know
Oh,
why
that didn't sound too bad. That made you sound a bit more like you're a tourist. Yeah, Siri.
Ya Siri.
You gotta sound more Arabic, bro. You gotta do it more
You have to say
fresh.
Ya Siri.
Yeah, no, but you're saying it too like English.
Because I'm not speaking Arabic right now with you, so like I can't just switch my tongue. But when you're speaking Arabic, your tongue has to become so heavy.
Yeah, I know. I can say like
everything's so delicate.
yalla.
Yeah.
Tariq. I know that because I went to Umrah.
When you go Umrah, tariq.
Mom's in a wheelchair, so I have to do that.
Yeah.
Anyway, really quickly, what do you like your Punjabi lingo? What is it?
Punjabi is like Tijana.
Oh my God, you're such a
John.
John.
Like that kind of stuff.
You
It's
say it
very,
really-
it's very heavy, yeah. It's a proper Chaudhry thing, bruv. Like Chaudhry's like farmers, innit? So, but anyway, the point is, he's from a small village, and the closest place
Okay.
is Jhelum. My dad's gone to Pakistan quickly because just see his family and stuff.
Okay.
Anyway, I'm going to block that convo out because it was such a boring. It was just a logistical conversation about can you pick up?
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, I he's very brave for answering the phone to his dad because like that could have gone two ways.
No, my dad's bro. It
He sounds like gangster, bro.
My dad's very quiet,
Yeah.
and he says small. He speaks small, but like
Meaningful.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the way it should be, man. That's good. I wish I could do that. I talk
Same.
a lot, bro.
Yeah, I'm the opposite, man. My dad, I speak all the time. So, yeah. Anyway, bro, listen, because you have a drive back to Birmingham.
I have a drive.
And can I just say that you know that I know you don't know much about your drive to Birmingham, though you do it on an almost weekly basis.
Yep.
But the M40, it has no lights. You're obviously aware of this. And so you're going to drive now for 2 hours straight with
In the
zero
dark?
light, pitch black darkness. I can't do that. I can't do the drive from Birmingham to London.
I don't normally take the M40. Then I take something else. Then because there's two
from
ways.
here it's the M40.
But there's another one, right? Is that the M6?
I don't know,
I
but
said something
from
really
here,
stupid.
I don't know. Well, all I know about is M40. But from here, where you're
M42.
going, I don't know. The M40.
But
though,
there is another motorway that I can take, right?
If you put it in your sat nav now, it's definitely going to take you M40.
M40.
Because we're right next to it. Problem with that, bro, you're lliterally.
No, but I have to
maybe
drive back to the
3 minutes away from
I
the
have to
M40.
drive back to the Olympia.
Oh, you have to.
Yeah, well, one of my friends from here, from Lebanon, so I said I'd take him for. I might just go home, bro, because I'm gonna fall asleep. I can't.
You have to go home, and secondly, your house is actually very close to here because you're 3 minutes away from the motorway that takes you straight to Birmingham. Well, you're gonna drive about 3 minutes,
Yep.
and then it's straight for about hour 45.
I like that. I can listen to some Quran. And
Problem
just,
is,
like,
you
it's
can't
nice,
see
like-
further than like but you can't. It's so difficult.
Bro, I've got these headlights on my car, which I don't even know existed. But if you put the full beams on, and there's a car on the other side, it
Goes off.
it kind of like comes down.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I didn't know.
Okay,
that,
use them, but be careful, bro. Honestly,
Inshallah, I'll be fine.
That's dangerous drive, man. I did it. A few
and
weeks
I
back.
don't even drink like Red Bull and stuff.
Yeah.
Do you drink Red Bull?
No. I drink coffee, but that it doesn't help because the problem is not staying awake. The problem is being able to see.
Oh,
Yeah, because you can't see more than like if you have your full beams on, you can see a bit more. But it's very dangerous.
Bro, I
It's a scary drive.
remember right once I used to work when I left the police. I used to work in Nottingham. No, I shouldn't say this.
Don't say it.
Yeah, I did some undercover work, but there's like, anyway.
You've said it now.
Okay, so I did some undercover work for an organisation, right, for a retailer, and I was working undercover in a warehouse.
Oh, it's good that you've explained that now because that could have gone many ways. But it's a retailer.
Yeah, no, a retailer.
alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. So it was a retailer,
Yeah.
and so I had to go to this place and work undercover as a person. And anyway, I discovered there was a gang in this place that was stealing. So I kind of did my job, found them, and then the company were like, losing like hundreds of thousands, and we caught them. Anyway, so the point of the conversation was that I had to drive for like an hour and a half, and I was doing like a night shift, and I remember I had to literally blast the radio, open all the windows, knack a can of Red Bull, just to keep myself awake at 7 o'clock in the morning.
It's never worth it. Honestly, if you ever get to that point, book a hotel. Because that 70 quid, bro, is money well spent because you have way too much to live for, bro, to like lose it on the motorway, bro.
I know I need to come back on Freshly Grounded, bro.
Exactly. And that's what I was saying. That next time you come Freshly Grounded, then we can crack some joke.
Yeah, that would be good because I think we could. Like,
We'll
I know
have a
this was a
laugh.
bit serious.
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
But it was a lovely episode, bro. Like,
I enjoyed it.
you made me cry so much in that episode.
Yeah,
But you know what? Alhamdulillah, there's no close up on me. There's a close up is on you. in this episode,
really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
you know, Alhamdulillah, and I actually feel like I feel relieved.
Alhamdulillah.
Well, I feel like because, like I said, this is the first time. Like, of course, we've spoke about it in inner circles, like with like friends and stuff.
Yeah.
But this is the first time on a public platform that I've verbally spoken about it. I always write stuff, and people say that that's really emotional. And I know when I'm typing, I'm crying. I know that I'm reliving.
Yeah.
Because what I do is sometimes I feel something, and then I feel that I have to write about it.
Yeah.
Because that's like I keep saying it's my healing process. It's my way of letting it out, venting. I want to write a book about it eventually, inshallah. Just to allow people that are go. Anyway, we're gonna start talking
Just
again.
get someone to type out this podcast, and that will be your book done.
Bro, that's actually a
Explained
really good
it.
idea.
No, you can't do that.
I can't do that. Okay.
But you could if you want. I mean, there's
Well,
no
maybe.
issue with us. There's no licensing issues. Just slip us a tenner. So put £10 on my petrol. Give me to work.
Okay, bro. Look, listen. Thanks for having me.
You listen.
Sorry.
It's been an honour that you that you shared your story with us because I know it's a very powerful story that will really, really benefit people around the world. And it's an honour that you decided to share it on Freshly Grounded. I know you had opportunity to share it on many platforms. And you turned them all down. No, you didn't turn them down. It just alhamdulillah, it just ended up being
There wasn't many platforms.
it ended up being that
but
you
alhamdulillah.
by qadar you shared it with us, and it's a true honor. I hope that you can
Can we apologise to John?
Yeah, look, John. I owe John a really big favour because he did with me. This is John Fontaine. who also has a podcast.
I know we're going to do the
check it out.
podcast, John, but
But I think John wanted to do a podcast with Sunny, and I got in there.
yeah, if you're in the UK, I need to.
I think you promised it to me before John, though.
Yeah, we've been
talking about this for years.
Yeah, we have been talking about this for ages, and we kept. But this now was the best time, you know. SubhanAllah. Alhamdulillah.
And you messaged me today saying I'm in London today if you want to do it. Like we had no prior plans to do it.
Yeah, absolutely, no, like none. And I had to, SubhanAllah. I was supposed to. If I would have called you yesterday, would you have been available?
No, I was shooting podcast yesterday. I
see.
No, I wasn't.
Well, anyway, I was supposed to come to London yesterday, but I had to come today to the show with my friends here, and it all just sat really nicely.
I had to get permission to do this. I was like, that was the little gap when you were like, can you do a podcast tonight? And what's the latest you could do? I was like, can I get back to you in an hour? I was like, hey, so I'm thinking I'm gonna come. I had a meeting. I'm gonna come home now for a few hours, but then I might go back to work in the evening.
Are you having a conversation?
No, I'm telling you what I was doing.
Oh, what you were doing?
Yeah.
Oh, with the missus?
Yeah, I had to. I was seeking my permission to be working this late.
Wow.
All right, bro, the camera's gone after me. Yeah. I think all of the cameras are shut down on us.
We're done.
Yeah.
You paused it?
No, I've just put it back on to say bye to you.
Oh.
Yeah.
Are we saying bye?
Yeah, bro, thank you so much.
I think I look really fat in that.
No.
This jacket is really padded, by the way, guys, and I'm on a diet. Just wanted to put that.
And also, that camera is a close up to you, so you won't be able to see.
Like really close up.
No, it's not that close up.
Okay, because I'm normally
I can't remember.
have concealer on.
Anyway,
Anyway, I went to Selfridges once, just really quickly, right? We went to the Tom Ford counter, and the woman was like, my wife's listing, something. We've got some I said, I need a moisturizer, right? She said, concealer. She goes, yeah, we've got this concealer, right? So I was thinking it's like a moisturizer.
Like a type of moisturizer, yeah.
So I sat down on the chair and she started putting it on my face. No. We know her, right? Every time we walk past her, she's like, I've got this new perfume. We're like, all right, it's too expensive. Anyway, so she put the concealer on. I looked at it. I said, "Wow, that's actually taking away all the blemishes and all the stuff on my face." But it's makeup, and I was like, "Oh!" And I was like to my wife, "Why don't you tell me she's putting flipping foundation on my face?" My wife was just laughing. Anyway, but people wear that, bro.
Yeah, I know.
It's like a done thing. Anyway. Conversation for another day, but so that was just a point I wanted to share with you guys.
I have so many other things I want to talk to you about, but I don't want to get into it because this podcast can go for 7 hours.
Yeah, and how long do people listen to podcasts, bro?
But our longest episode was 3.5 hours long.
Really?
Yeah.
And did lots of people listen to it?
People loved it. It was with Farouk from Man Channel. Farouk McDermott.
Oh, the white brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's crazy, man.
Bro, he's amazing.
Bro, he's on cloud nine all the time.
He's amazing.
Who's your who do you need to get on pod? Who's your ultimate
guest that I would love to get on?
After me?
I've wanted Mufti Menkom for a long time, and he has agreed to it. And every time he's in the UK, he's like, I saw him a few months back, and he said, so he was driving. Well, no, he was being driven. Obviously, it's Mufti Menk, and he's being driven, and he tells, and I'm walking, and then he tells the guy who's driving to slow down, and he rolls down the window, and he looks at me, and he goes, "We need to do Freshly Grounded." And I was like, "I know, Sheikh, please." He was like, I know.
Oh,
so he's obviously very busy when he's here. So inshallah, I just would enjoy to get that episode because I just want to have a sit down chat with him because, bro, it's not often you can sit down and speak to someone who walks into a stadium, has sold out a stadium, bro, in the Muslim scene, who and has to deal with that kind of amount of people because you only see that on pop stars and this, that, the other. Although Aira just did a really good podcast episode with him, so it's worth checking out. But in terms of who I would like to get on, bro, I would love to chat to. Who would I love to have? I'd love to have a conversation with Mike Tyson.
Yeah, but wouldn't he scare you just in case you say the wrong thing and he just punches you?
No, because he's a very soft guy now. But obviously, the thing is with Mike Tyson. It wouldn't be an Islamic conversation, although I would be intrigued. Look, because obviously you don't. He's got this new. He sells. He's got this this branch, not branch.
Oud.
No. Anyway, no. He's got.
He's selling something.
He sells weed now, but his own branded weed.
Weed.
Yeah.
Are you being serious?
Bro, what do you mean? It's his biggest thing right now. So that's what I'm saying. He's not.
Have you tried some?
He's not the Mike Tyson that we remember from like the prime of like. But I want to find out about that part of his life because, bro, he did an episode, for example, with Joe Rogan, and it was all about his weed. But I want to know about the Mike Tyson that converted to Islam, and that was just like on it, bro. Like,
Bro,
on
there
it,
was
like,
so much hatred in
bro,
his heart.
Right, but then when
No,
he became-
not hatred. Sorry, that's wrong. With anger.
right, but
It's
then,
like-
but then, do you remember when he converted to Islam, and then all of a sudden, bro, he was like they'd interview him, and he, with the same intensity, he'd be like, "And Allah is the greatest, and there's no God worthy of worship but Allah." Anything. I remember because I when I was growing up, Mike Tyson was coming to the end of his career.
Okay.
And so
How old are you, Faisal?
I'm 25.
Wow.
Yeah, so you would have been around when he was at the peak of his career. So you would
Yeah.
remember like his. But I remember his fight with Lennox Lewis.
I'm 10 years older than you.
Yeah.
That is so crazy, bro. I feel so old.
Nah, you're not old, bro. I remember Tyson's fight with Lennox Lewis, and I stayed. That was one of the first boxing fights I stayed up to watch. Me and my brother stayed up together, and because I remember it clearly because the marketing for it was, you know how Tyson's name has an ON in it,
Yeah.
and Lewis's name has an IS, so they would market it as "is on." Lewis Tyson is on.
Oh, wow. That's smart.
And Sky Sports, and so and that was that time where he was kind of coming to the end of his career, but he was still a killer. So Mike Tyson, I would love to talk to him about that phase of his life, like why he was so intense, and kind of, I would probably want to say to him, like, how come you kind of maybe, at what point could you pinpoint where you kind of lost that intensity?
I think that you should put it out there now on this podcast that if anybody knows Mike Tyson,
Yeah.
that they hook it up. And you might have to pay him to come onto your show.
We've never paid a guest yet. And I think that
Hold on. But we were talking about this.
But I think
I'm here for free.
I think that's what brings the authenticity to
Yeah,
Freshly
alhamdulillah.
Grounded is that we don't have to.
But do people
bring
pay
someone on.
people to come on?
Of course, bro, because that's how media works, isn't it? People pay for people to come onto things if they have to. But I want to stick to this idea of not paying people, not because I don't feel like we should spend the money, because if we need to, we'd love to be able to spend money on people. But I think that the authentic conversations come when someone wants to have their voice heard.
Absolutely. No, it's good, bro. It's good. Alhamdulillah, it's from the
Mike,
heart.
I think Mike Tyson, look, now that you've asked the question, we're going to keep talking. This episode's gone to over 2 hours, mashallah.
Are you-
Well done. Congratulations.
Oh, wow. 2
This
hours.
is over 2 hours. Listen.
There's something come up.
No, 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 no.
Sorry, another question I wanted to ask is, why are we recording it on the video? It's a podcast, is it?
Because we are video podcasts, so we go on YouTube as well, yeah.
So it's going to be on YouTube?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so Mike Tyson.
Sorry. Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, you want him on, I get it.
I'm trying to think of another person now.
Oh,
I'm trying to think of my next dream
people.
guest. Yeah. Who else? Because you know what, bro?
Who would I want?
The first person that comes to my mind is Mohammed Salah, but I'm not interested. No, I am interested. If Mohammed Salah's watching, definitely want you on podcast, please.
Yeah.
However, I'm saying that that's an easy go-to guy because you think, Muslim celebrity is Mo Salah because he's the biggest right now.
Yeah.
Him or Khabib, innit? But
Khabib would be good.
Khabib would be amazing, and I actually almost had him on.
Oh, did you?
Honestly, I got a story. I'll tell you what fair. It
Okay.
didn't work out. But alhamdulillah, it's qadr.
I think inshallah, like, watch your space, people. I think, like, as time goes on, as your brand grows, mashallah, because you're a likable guy, bro.
Thanks, bro.
Alhamdulillah, and I'm sure people that are listening like it too. But yeah, we'll get some. That's interesting. That is actually. I want to start a podcast. I told you I want to start a podcast, right?
Can you just give me some suggestions for dream guests? Because all I've got in my head was Mike Tyson. Right now.
So Mike Tyson.
Obviously, Muhammad Ali, if he was in his prime and he was alive and all that kind of stuff, but that's just not happening.
Yeah, but that's so cliche though.
No, but come on, it's Muhammad Ali.
No,
but
no, it is Muhammad Ali. SubhanAllah. He's dead, right?
Yeah, he's dead, bro. We can't have that episode. We can't get that episode.
That's really
He's not gonna have to
Can you
anymore.
block that out? That's gonna make me sound so like.
No, I'm keeping that in, bro. The only thing blocking out from this podcast is my conversation with my dad.
Oh my god.
Okay,
Okay, Muhammad
come on.
Ali's dead. She can't do him.
They don't have to be Muslim either, but
The
I'm
Rock,
obviously intrigued.
Dwayne Johnson.
I would like to have an episode with The Rock for his mindset. Yeah, no, I would like that for his mindset.
I was watching a program on him the other day, how he gets people to like him and stuff. And bro, you know what I was thinking the other day, right? I seen an interview on like The Rock, maybe like on his Instagram, and he was thanking these people that set up his gym everywhere he goes.
Yeah.
Like,
Do you know about that?
yeah, bro, that's crazy. So he has a full setup,
Yeah.
a full gym,
Yeah.
and it travels with him everywhere he goes. How?
He has, it has his own plane. Bro, you know it's tons of weight of weight.
Yeah.
And he has his own plane, and it flies everywhere he goes, and wherever he goes and sets up for a movie, because the movies obviously take 6 months, etc.
Yeah.
So for example, he was last year in London for like a year and a half. He was living in London for like almost 2 years.
Did you see him?
No one saw him, bro. Because and he had a mansion in London. He had horses in his mansion. He was horse riding and everything, and he had his gym set up there and everything. And it's a fully blown gym, and he just trains by himself. And sometimes he might let like one of his co-stars train with him. It is interesting, but I'd also be interested in having someone who's like really into psychology, like social psychology, because I studied that in criminology, so I'm really intrigued by people's psychology. But
What about, what's his name? The Turkish president.
I just don't know enough about him. Yeah,
What about the guy that made Urtugul?
Nah, that doesn't interest me at all. Because
What are you watching at the moment on Netflix? Oh, you can't say. Okay, that's fine.
No, I can't remember the last thing I watched. It would have definitely been a documentary though, because I'm intrigued by documentaries.
Yeah, I watched the.
You don't want to say.
Yeah, so I can't think of anyone else, to be honest. I think like
Try really hard to think of someone.
like it would just be, oh my god, you had.
Okay,
that
I
person.
know who I would want to have. I would want to have Dave Chappelle and talk to him about Islam, because Dave Chappelle
Who's
is
Dave
a Muslim. He's one of the biggest comedians in the world. Dave Chappelle.
Dave
Oh my
Chappelle.
gosh. Right, but so anyway,
I know Tess.
I don't know who that is.
I was at the show yesterday. Tess was really funny. He's like,
Oh, Tess Elias.
man's like Mobeen.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. He's doing a tour, comedy tour or something. Listen, Dave Chappelle is one of the biggest comedians in the world. All right,
I don't know who he is. He can't be that big.
he's huge. He's bigger than Kevin Hart. But it's just that you're young. You're one of these young, like Generation Z kids who just like, oh yeah, Kevin Hart.
Says the guy that's 25 and 10 years younger than me.
Listen to this, bro.
It's
Dave
great.
Chappelle is one of the biggest comedians. He's like Chris Rock, Dave Chappelle, them lot. Anyway,
Dave Chappelle.
Dave Chappelle's Muslim.
Okay.
Never talks about his faith. Never.
Why?
Because he basically said that why would I want to
Talk about my faith.
pollute something so beautiful, i.e. Islam,
Yeah.
something so perfect, and people relate it back to me who is like a sinner and stuff like that.
Oh,
That's
wow.
basically his argument. And his children are all named really Islamic names. He knows a lot about the history of Islam. There's actually a video that went viral recently of him like talking about the history of Islam and teaching people it. But he's also like a stand-up comedian who like goes.
Are you doing that football thing?
Yeah. I'm hosting that.
When is it?
18th of December. Yes. 7:00 p.m. 18th of December. Queen Mary University or St Mary University.
I think I have to come to that.
Is Queen Mary and St Mary the same thing?
Dude.
I'm hosting that
Queen
event, yes.
Mary, no, because Queen Mary's the queen and St. Mary's the saint.
No, I'm talking about in terms of universities. I'm hosting that event, yes.
Okay. I think I have to come to it.
Come down, man. I'll be there. Inshallah.
Yeah, I was told about it and I think I have to come. Anyway. Right, so look, next year, inshallah, lots more planned, inshallah.
Yeah, we're dragging this. We're dragging this, aren't we? Yeah, next year. You got loads planned for next year. I want Mike Tyson and Dave Chappelle on the podcast.
I don't know who the other second guy is, which is great. Yeah, look, we're dragging it, bro. It's long. So.
Oh, maybe Shai the 3D.
Bro, it's minor. Who shot? He's the cricketer, right?
Yeah, cricket. He used to be ex-England, ex-Pakistan.
I've got a
cricket
picture with him.
captain. Huh?
I got a picture with him. Sorry. Just thought-
Can you get him on the podcast? I think he'd be a really interesting guest, Shai the 3D.
Yeah. Look,
Because he was like he like won the T20 World Cup for his team and stuff. And
do you think you'll ever do a podcast in Urdu?
No, because my Urdu is very bad. But I would want to interview him
I just
about
want to hear you in
corruption.
Urdu. Just like quickly say something like really quickly. Mera naam hai Faisal and
आप कैसे हो?
मैं rock करती हूँ. Say that.
What?
Rock.
What is rock? Oh, like literally.
Yeah, say what? Say just copy me. Say मेरा नाम है Faisal
मेरा नाम है फैसल.
और मैं rock करती हूँ.
मैं rock करता हूँ. Yeah, all right, mate. All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening to episode 137 of Freshly Grounded with Sunny Araf, and we will see you soon, inshallah, on the next episode, which we don't know when will be. Thank you, bro. I really appreciate you coming down.
Thanks for listening, guys, and I hope you found it useful.
We actually switched out the XLR cables just before this episode, so inshallah, this episode was actually recorded on audio. So, I'm not even
I'm
joking.
gonna kill this guy if it wasn't recorded.
But some of it was recorded on my phone.
And I want to just let you guys know that I did the whole episode with a migraine.
May Allah bless you, bro. And now you got to drive home with a migraine.
I mean, yeah,
And
subhanallah.
pitch black darkness.
Yeah, I've got lights on my car. Peace out, guys.
Thank you,
Jazakallah
guys.
khair. Assalamu alaikum wa
Assalamu
rahmatullahi wa
alaikum
barakatuh.
wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.